A state agency under fire tonight, an agency whose director quit in a scathing letter to the governor. We're talking about the Department of Child Services.
The agency now has a new director, but will that translate into a new direction? Team coverage tonight. IT mate Stephanie Zepelin digs into the new report that will help the agency move forward. But first, State House Bureau Chief David Williams with state lawmakers' thoughts on the plan.
You know, this is a new day and we're going to move forward.
Appointed by Governor Eric Holcomb in late December, new Department of Child Services Director Terry Stigdon braved the cameras this morning at the State House alongside independent consultant Sue Stive. Fresh on the job, Stigdon describes the department as
hardworking group of people that have a passion for children.
Her predecessor, Mary Beth Bonaventura, quit late last year in a scathing letter critical of the governor's office and policies she said would, quote, all but ensure children would die. A letter Stigdon says she hasn't read.
And I'm a different person, you know, than anyone that's been here before. So while I may do things differently, it doesn't necessarily mean that something is broken.
Delving into that, the Child Welfare Policy and Practice Group released its first report today. Part of the plan includes analysis of DCS staffing and a review of case files and policies. Some initial interviews have already started.
We're just hoping that we encourage that this be an open and transparent process.
I showed the report to Senate Democrat Eddie Melton today. He's part of an informal Senate subcommittee. He calls the report a step in a good direction.
This is an urgent and crisis dealing with our children.
I also showed the report to State Senator Karen Talion, who previously called for an investigation into DCS financing.
Yeah, I have to think this is very initial. And, you know, hopefully they can get some things done so that we can do something about these issues.
I asked if anything could be done legislatively this session.
If we found that there was some quick fix thing that we could do, you know, we might be able to do it within an existing bill, but you know, it's long past time for any new bills to be introduced.
Now, about this report, Indiana House Democratic leader Terry Gooden from Austin, Indiana, released a statement about this today. He says, in part, it is good to see that the actual work has begun on trying to figure out what we can do to help at-risk children across Indiana. He goes on to say the problems facing DCS are so extreme that I would not be surprised if we end up with a complete overhaul of the agency itself. David Williams, 24-Hour News 8.
David, thank you. Now, we also sent I-Team 8 Stephanie Zepelin to the meeting this morning.
Yeah, she's breaking down exactly what's in that report tonight. Stephanie, good evening to you.
Phil, Brenda, the Child Welfare Policy and Practice Group is a national nonprofit that works with states to fix issues in the child care system. It's in its first weeks of evaluation of Indiana's Department of Child Services. And at the same time, Terry Stigdon, the new DCS director, is in her second week on the job as well. Governor Eric Holcomb called for this outside group to come in and evaluate the embattled agency after a scathing letter from its former director upon her resignation. Both Stigdon and the outside organization CWG plan to visit all the regions around the state and talk with DCS employees. Stigdon says she is doing so herself along with CWG to get her own findings. So far, Stigdon says she only visited one region, but is trying to be open and transparent with all her new employees.
I'm hearing and seeing stories on the front lines which show me how much work there is before our team, but I'm also seeing examples of them rising to the challenge of some very difficult work as they work with our most vulnerable population.
While their review is still in the early stages, CWG has already found two main challenges. One, a difficult data system, and two, a growing number of kids in out-of-home care. The national average is 5.5 kids per 1,000 kids in out-of-home care. In Indiana, that number is 13 kids per 1,000. CWG expects to have another update March 1st and the full report sometime in June.